What up, world? Digimon Mike, what coming in with EX7 goodness, baby. And you already know by the player man what we rocking on with here. It's Cendrillmon depth profile for your retinas, guys. I've been cooking in the lab like Breaking Bad, and this is becoming my favorite deck. I'm not gonna lie to you. So in this video, we'll go over the tech, strats, all the good stuff. So if this is a video for you, then stick around and enjoy. And if you're new to the channel, like what you see, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell because I do videos on the reg. So let's dive on into this deck because this deck is so fun, like really fun. And the one thing I do like about it is extremely consistent in regards to its overall game planning. Kind of the game plan is get to your top end, spawn a lot of tokens, and then start clapping cheeks. But in order to do that, and in order for us to do that safely, we have to go in with the new EX7 Cendrillmon, rocking that at 4. This Cendrillmon right here is really good because all of your opponent's security Digimon get minus 2k, and that is the general theme of this deck, is that you minus their security Digimon's DP, meaning that pretty much the only thing that's going to basically knock you out is going to be options. So we just run 4, and that's all you need right there. Don't necessarily need a 5th egg. So going over to the rookies, we do run a solid 12, and it is all going to be shoes, baby, all shoes. And this list is going to be a little bit pricey, I'm not gonna lie, guys, but I'll explain the reasons of why I've gone in this direction, because I did effectively use a lot of the starter deck Digimon, and they are solid alternatives. Junkmon is an absolute go. The chess pieces are really good as well, but I feel like for you to effectively control the field and also prevent them from swinging at your ends, we have to really lean into the promo shoes, which I like to call my Air Force Ones, because this right here is so useful in terms of its when attacking, is that one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 2000 DP for the turn. When you climb to your top end, this helps out a lot in order for you to delete like bodies, like really like can capitalize on that minus DP thresholds, where effectively you could be literally deleting up to what 16k with the EX7 Cendrillmon as well. So really helps out, but its actual on play is useful. I didn't really think it would be as useful as it is, especially because the amount of cards that effectively able us to play out shoes for days really just comes clutch. So on play, one of your opponent's Digimon gains security -1 until the end of their turn. Really helps out, trust me. So I do run that at 4. The next shoe to the collection is going to be the EX7 shoe, which is just really helpful for you to kind of turbo up your line efficiently, because when on your turn, when this Digimon would digivolve into a Digimon card with Puppet in trait, reduce the dissolution costs by 1. You wouldn't believe how much tempo this brings when you start spawning shoes out for days. Honestly, really helps out. And that inheritable is the same as the egg, but an additional, you know, it's 3k DP instead of the 2k, which when you get a line, when you get up your line, you just literally might as well say this Digimon's got jamming, because the security is just nothing. The security Digimon is just nothing in there. So really do like this card, really solid, and really helps out to the overall strats. And then lastly, we run the starter deck Shumon. This is just basically your consistency piece in order for you to search out your cards. The thing that's good here is that you're able to get a Puppet and also a card with Liberator in trait, which is amazing because even the options do have Liberator in the trait. So it's just an amazing search card that you can just easily throw out. Obviously you can play it out for free when you kind of go up your top end or some of your options. It's just a fantastic card, and the same inheritable as the EX7 shoe is that you're able to minus security the opponent's security Digimon by 3000, which is just once again helpful. So the reason why I've gone for the full shoe line is because we do run the Promo Orisa, and Promo Orisa specifically says you can play a shoe mon down from your hand without paying the cost. So if you don't have a shoe mon and you just have to throw it down, it feels like a bit of a wasted resource right there, which feels kind of sad. And it has come up quite a few times where I've had it in hand and I've just not had a freaking Doc Martin shoe for me to throw down, unfortunately. So I've gone fully consistent and just enabling us to, when we are playing that card down, we can basically throw out any of our shoes at the opponent. So that concludes for the rookies, solid 12. Now going over to champions. Champions, we run 9. The reason why we've dropped the champions down is because with Cendrillmon, you're going to be playing a lot of your level 3s. Your level 3s are kind of important. So you want to kind of go quite, well, obviously a normal count on that. But your champions, you don't necessarily need to be seeing as much as your rookies. So we do run the starter deck Cendrillmon at 4. The reason being is that its security effect is just so freaking good and works really well in a bind, because you have a lot of options in terms of what you can actually just throw out. Because if it's triggered from security, you may play one card with Liberator trait and a play cost of 4 or less, which is pretty much most options that's linked to Liberator, from your hand or trash without paying the cost. This is so helpful in so many situations. You can even play Vortex Resonance from trash as well if you wanted. There's so many combos you can do with this. Though the annoying thing is that it never in goddamn security when you want it to be. I tell you, when security is a freaking delight, because you can throw down your Tamers for free. If you have a promo Orisa, you're throwing that down, and then you're playing down a shoe. That is so much value from this card just tripping out of security. It also does have Overclock there as well. So Overclock is quite important here, because Overclock with a puppet trait. So at the end of your turn, by deleting one of your tokens or other puppet trait Digimon, this Digimon may attack without suspending. So there's been a lot of things in there that I've seen in Discord, seen on Reddit, is that if it's suspended, can it still attack? And the answer to that is yes. And that's why it's so crazy how Overclock works and really adds to a lot of tempo. Also, same inheritable as the EX7 and the starter deck Shoe is that all security Digimon, opponent security Digimon get minus 3000 DP. Then we run, once again, the GOAT here. So we do run the Cendrillmon from EX7 at 3. So you're probably thinking, why are you running this slightly lower versus the starter deck Shoe? So I feel like with this, loses its value as soon as you have more than 2 Tamers out on the field. And then it just kind of is cluttered in your hand. Whereas this, he's not capped if it's propped up from security. So this early game, fantastic. Really helps out, because if you combo this up with your EX7 shoe, either for the cost of 1 into this, you don't have any Tamers out, you can play a 4-cost Orisa or any Orisa from your hand out on the field, which is just absolute gas here. So 9 times out of 10, you do want to be getting at least 2 Orisas out. Obviously, a good thing with this is that if you throw out the promo Orisa from this effect, then effectively you can play out a shoe, and it's just like snowballing from there, and you're building out quite wide, quite efficiently, and quite quickly, which is just nuts. On top of that, it is a 4-drop as well, if you just need to kind of throw something out to pass turn, and it's inheritable, obviously keeps consistent with the theme. And then lastly, we do finish off with the promo Cendrillmon at 2. I'm actually really tempted to do a 3-3 split across the board, but 2 is just fine. The reason why I'm kind of liking this one, before I didn't really think it was that great, but actually in practice and me using it at locals is really nice in what it does. Once again, that inheritable, honestly powerful with the EX7 Cendrill. But when digivolving, one of your opponents, until the end of your opponent's turn, one of their Digimon can't attack Digimon. So if it was suspended, it just literally, if your Digimon was suspended, it wants to swing into it, or if it had raid, if it could attack unsuspended Digimon, it will not be able to do so, and gains minus security 1. So basically, you're just kind of freezing them. They can't necessarily do too much once that's happened. On top of that, if you do have an Orisa out on the field, this Digimon gains jamming, which is really helpful, because it means that you can get a nice little cheeky swing in, free, and not worried about anything in their security apart from an option. And then you can go into your level 5, and depending on obviously which Chaperonemon that you go into, ideally the EX7 one kind of spawns you out a a puppet Digimon in order for you to overclock there, so you can get literally nice 2 cheeky swings, which is massively helpful whilst controlling the board there, because effectively you will have that inheritable to pop a 2k or less Digimon by minusing it by 2k, which is helpful right there. So that is the spread. I am thinking 3-3 split across the board, in all honesty, because the inheritable is just once again really helpful, and we'll talk a bit further about that along in the video. But that concludes for the champions, solid 9. Now going over to the ultimates. Ultimates, we do run 7. So like I say, we just kind of lowering it a little bit down just due to deck space, and we want to really just kind of emphasize on that consistency. And when we're at the top end, we're pretty much eating right there. But let's go over to the card that you just want to see, and pretty much the enabler for all the shenanigans. So we do rock in with the EX7 Cendrillmon at 4. Really fantastic card right here. It just once again facilitates to the plays. This card literally reminds me of Save Your Pokemon. If in all honesty, apart from obviously with Save Your Pokemon, you are playing out a particular Systemon, whereas this you are just literally playing a level 3 Digimon card with Puppet in trait. So it really adds to a lot of versatility of what you can throw down. But because obviously we're running a whole plethora of shoes, we can just either throw down a starter deck shoe for a bit of consistency and searching. We could throw down a promo shoe to essentially, minus security one of their Digimon, or we can throw down the EX7 shoe, which kind of sets up for a variety of plays if you want to kind of build up a second stack efficiently. Really depends on your memory and what Tamers you got set up. So really fantastic. Also, it does have overclock there as well, in case you obviously want to evo and do a little cheeky swing as you do. But the actual inheritable is very crucial in order for you to have some sticking power, and this is why I do like Cendrill. It has some good sticking power to it. Is at all turns, when this Digimon would leave the battle area, other than by its own effect, by deleting one of your tokens or other puppet traded Digimon, it doesn't leave. Really freaking helpful right there, because effectively you could block, and if you was going to die, you can just delete a puppet Digimon and it doesn't leave, which is great. There's so many ways that this can help you just kind of stay on the board, and that's ideally what you want to be doing. If you have a lot of puppet Digimon out, which 9 times out of 10 with this deck you do have a lot of sticking power. Obviously it is all turns, and it is once per turn being quite crucial. So then we just run the one Cendrillmon from the starter deck. This one is okay, but because it doesn't spawn anything out, I'm a bit like, it's probably the least favorite one I like to go into, but it does add a nice little bit of control, and also has an on play there as well. So if you need to hard slam this bad boy down, you can do. But for the Evo cost of 3, and that's obviously a similar trait with this Cendrillmon right here, is that on play and when digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3000 DP for the turn. If there are 3 or more Digimon, it gets a further 3000 DP. So this is not just your Digimon, it's basically all Digimon on the field. If there's basically a total of 3, blam, you met the condition, give it a further 3k DP minus DP, which is nice right there. You could literally delete up to 6k, which is great right there. Obviously, same inheritable as that Cendrillmon, so this is the reason why we do run like 5, because 9 times out of 10 we will pretty much have these in stack in order for our Cendrillmon to kind of obviously stay sticky on the board. And she's got to flash those high heels off, you know what I'm saying? So this is where we got some spicy tech here, and this is kind of a flex spot to whatever you want. You could run the, I think it's the EX5 Edamon, which obviously is kind of like the taunt focus, where you could obviously blast into an ace or so forth. But I have chose a slightly different route with this, and I never thought that this card would come in use. But it does, and it is freaking helpful because it's got one of the strongest keywords, which really helps out, and not many things can kind of avoid it. And we've finished it up with the 2 promo Edamons. Yes, guys. Oh. So, promo Etamon is quite interesting because it does have an on play and also a when digivolving effect. It does cost 40 Evo, but because we do have Tamers that can reduce the Evo cost, and also we do have, trainings and all that good stuff, we can possibly Evo in this for, -2, 1, etc. So, when digivolving, de-digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon. You wouldn't believe how clutch this came in one of my games, quite two of my games actually, at locals, because de-digivolve just gets rid of pesky mons that effectively you just sometimes can't get rid of. Especially when it comes to overflow. If this is de-digivolved an ace, yeah, you basically refunding that memory, so it's a free evo at that point. And that actually did help me get rid of a Vike ace, which was annoying, but Etamon came clutch and really helped me control the board right there when I evolved into Cendrill. But the thing that's really good is the inheritable, which is kind of nice, because on deletion, it's not conditional to, like, you know, it can't be triggered if it's being deleted by your own effect, but you may play one yellow or black Digimon card with a play cost of 3 or less from your hand without paying the cost. If this was hand or trash, this card be so freaking good. It'd be so good. Absolutely brilliant. So this actually helps out us to, if we do have the Orisa from EX7 and this in stack, and let's just say our Central died, what we could do, we could literally suspend that Orisa, play out a Shumon, or yeah, basically it's going to be a Shumon because that's the only thing we run, and then because of this inheritable, then we basically pull out another Shu if we do have another level 3. So we've effectively recurred back from this dying and having a Tamer out on field 2 Digimon instead of the 1. And if we have then the starter deck Orisa out, we could give those rush, which is massively helpful. It's going to be a spoiler alert, but we do run the rune mode. So when rune mode attacks, obviously after the end of attack it dies, and it has this inheritable underneath. Effectively, we can get out a level 3, and then we can give that rush and go back up our line right there. So there's a lot of versatility with this card, which I really like. The taunt Etamon is good, but sometimes I felt like when I'm taunting the opponent into doing something, if they've got, when attacking inheritables, it can kind of throw me completely off in this particular deck, which happened quite a few times at my local. So this is why I've kind of lent more into this. de-digivolve is such a menace, and the fact that I can just hard slam this down in de-digivolve is actually quite a nice option there too. So that is the ultimates. Like I say, those 2 slots you can flex it to what you want. I did actually run one of each Etamon right there, which was nice, but this one definitely came up clutch, and sometimes I wish I had it at more times than the other Etamon. So now let's go over to the Megas, baby. The Megas, we're running an 8, but obviously one's going to be a level 7, so technically 7. and then the 7 Megas at level 6, and then the 1 at level 7. So we got to rock in with the 4 Cendrills from EX7. I absolutely love this girl right here, because even though she evo costs for the cost of 4, which is like a little bit wounding, we can bypass that. We have a lot of cards that once again reduce the evo cost, is absolutely fine. Vortex Resonance also reduces the cost there as well, and we get a free freaking search. It's all happy days. But the actual value and the control this card provides with obviously our lower end Digimon really helps out right here, because it does have overclock, which is pretty standard right here, so that's great. But start to main, and also when digivolving, we are able to play out a familiar token. So obviously you'll be able to play out your familiar token right there. And we've got to give a shout out to fucking Enrique, the artist here, because this, honestly, I fell in love with this and I had to just print it out. So obviously we would summon out a familiar token, which is fantastic. And we will discuss a little bit about the familiar tokens as well, because there's probably a few things that we just need to obviously clear up on that, which might actually help out in some certain matchups. So you can do that. Obviously, start of main phase, if this manages to survive, you just literally just recur out a token, which is nice. So they almost have to deal with this body, or don't get more than 2 of them out on the field, because we're going to be recurring Digimon tokens for days. But when attacking, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 6k DP for the turn. This is not once per turn. So if you've managed to evo into this, keep turn, you swing, they're not aced, and you're gonna then minus 6k off one of their Digimon, and then when you pass turn, you're able to then overclock and able to trigger this again. So in all, you're gonna be basically minusing 12,000 DP. Then we got to talk about obviously those inheritables that come from our promos, which is obviously going to be your promo Shu, and then your promo Shumon, which in total, when attacking once per turn, dishes out an additional minus 2k DP per inheritable, so 4k in total. Obviously, that's only once per turn, but that means that in total, you are going to be deleting. You could possibly delete a 16k body or spread it out, which is fantastic. So the amount of times I've literally just kind of got to this Digimon, not even attacked, and just literally just overclocked and just kind of got rid of little bodies that could potentially do something is crazy. And this is why I do like this Digimon. Granted, you're only getting one token out versus the starter deck Cendrillmon, which we do run at 1. We have reduced this down. I do like this one, but I feel like once the tokens are kind of gone, it's just a blocker at that point, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it does lose its value as soon as those tokens are gone, whereas this is always recurring tokens in order for you to kind of overclock efficiently while still essentially progressing with another stack. But the one I like about this is, like, once again, it does recur tokens, 2 tokens instead of the 1. Which is nice, and the blocker does come pretty clutch, and it is a cheaper evo cost, so really comes in handy. And then we do run the absolute pseudo kind of option slash ace, and that's going to be Cendrillmon Ace. This card goes hard in this deck because the amount of bodies that you throw out, sheesh, let me tell you that you be just literally nuking stacks for days. Really helpful card here. We do run it at 2, and I think 2 is just very solid in terms of its application. The amount of times that when I've this in Hexablau, this could have saved my bacon if I just happened to draw into it, is unreal. But it really goes hard in this deck because the fact that you minus 4k DP per Digimon to the end of the opponent's turn really goes freaking hard. One thing I obviously want to kind of backtrack to though is that because we do run that promo Etamon, which basically de-digivolves one of the opponent's Digimon. So if they are at ultimate with obviously a DP threshold, which this might not be able to delete by doing the overclock, and you've not got quite the right inheritables, because you've de-digivolved something that will knock them back into an ultimate or a champion, whatever. Effectively, then it puts you in a good sense to kind of overclock and able to pop out their threats without them acing. Because the issue is overclock's great, but because they're attacking, basically the counter step's going to come through. So you need to make sure that you've kind of eliminated all form of counter freaking shenanigans that the opponent can kind of pull out, being the thing. So this is a slight change to probably the original list that I did have. I did run the the Shine Ace, but I'm thinking I'm leaning more to the Rune mode, in all honesty, because the thing with, and I think this is where, where probably people will disagree, but hear me out. Hear me out. Let me cook. So what I found is that if you're at your top end and you got Cendrillmon out and you got your Tamers out and so forth, you're pretty much winning. Like, you pretty much got it in the bag, unless they really come out with a blinding play that can absolutely just clap your cheeks. And I feel like if they've managed to wipe out your Tamers, which a lot of decks can remove Tamers from the field, Shine Ace loses its value a lot, because you get to play out a Tamer, and then depending on how many Tamers you have out, you can minus 5,000 per Tamer. If you've only got 2 Tamers, that's only 10k. Ideally, you need that sweet 3 in order for you to wipe out a particular body out on the field. when I was playing it in locals, I just never had enough Tamers out to really get the full usage of it, or when I did have the setup, I didn't actually have a Tamer to play out. So it's kind of like I was at 2, but if I had the Tamer out, I could have got 3, and then I could have literally done 15k. So it's very situational to what your hand's going to be and the position that you're going to be at, because effectively, if you've not got something to blast on, then you're kind of hard slamming it down, which sometimes ain't great, hard slamming an ace down unless you're getting some mad value. But with this, because you're going to be spawning out tokens, you're going to be building out quite wide. If you can just literally evo on top of your Cendrillmon into this, it means that your opponent's locked out from doing anything that might be happening in raising, so they've got to hard slam something out. And because the amount of Digimon that you have out, you pretty much got game. You pretty much got game. So you want to make sure that you kind of just locking them out whilst you've got your big board being the thing. Also, Vortex Resonance really goes hard with this freaking card, because what you can do with Vortex Resonance, which I'll explain further along when we actually go to the card, is that obviously you can play it down for free. You can reveal top 3 and pick a card with Liberator in its trait. Obviously this is already in your hand. And then from there you can evo into a Digimon. So it's not necessarily a Liberator trait Digimon or a Digimon with Puppet, just a Digimon for the reduced cost by 4. So realistically you could evo into this for 1 being the thing. So it's only cost you 4 instead of 5. And you've also picked up a consistency card whilst locking them out of the game, which is quite massive. So that's the choice I've gone with here. Hopefully that does make sense. Obviously drop it in the comments and we'll discuss further if needs be, but this is what I'm kind of going with right here, and it's working out pretty freaking nicely. So that concludes for the Megas. So going on to the options here, options is very nice and flexible. We do rock a nice steady 7 up in this bad boy. So the usual suspects are going to be your consistency booster, physical training at 3. We would know this card. I mean, absolutely fantastic. Play for 2. We'll be able to basically get a yellow card from the reveal, which is great. Delay, we're able to reduce the evo cost by 2. Massive in this deck right here. Obviously, we do have to watch out for freaking Imperial. It is a menace, unfortunately. You could run boosts if you want to, but because our Tamers are pretty crucial to the strat, we do need to run physical training. We do need to run physical training, but there is a lot of consistency cards that pretty much searches out our Tamers there as well, so it's completely up to you. Then we do run 2 Wonder Stomp. This card is so cute. It's so freaking nice, and really helps out in terms of us comboing up some awesome plays, especially with our starter deck Orisa, giving basically able to place down for 2, draw 1, and able to play a level 3 Digimon with Puppet in trait from your hand without paying the cost. Beautiful. Basically, we're just playing down a rookie for the cost of 2 and getting its on plays and all that shenanigans. Have that starter deck Orisa, give it rush. Yeah, you're flying. You're absolutely flying right there. You can easily, cheekily go into a... you could comfortably go into an ultimate if you play down the EX7 shoe off this, and then evo into a Shushu for reduced cost, so that's going to cost you 1. Obviously, you've got Visuals and Memory set about anyway, so that you would have started 3, and then you could evo into a Chaperone for the cost of 3 right there. And depending on obviously what other Tamers you have out, if you have out a promo Orisa, reduce the cost there further, might cost you less. So really powerful card of what this does. Even if you trigger this from security, able to trigger its main, really helpful, because then effectively you can stop a lot of plays from the opponent, and that's where promo shoe really does come clutch. I know that the promo is freaking expensive, and I didn't think security attack would be that much of a big deal, but trust me, it can shaft down a lot of freaking plays that the opponent might have thought he could go in and claim game, but now the man security, they can't finish up the dinner. Then we do run a Vortex Resonance at 1. I'm tempted to boost this up to 2. Just because it's actually a really strong card in Liberator decks. So for the cost of 3, When you have a Digimon or Tamer with liberating traits, and you can ignore its color requirements, which is freaking helpful because green, yellow, and purple, it ain't the wave. I don't know what deck's got all those colors in at once. But main, reveal top 3 cards of your deck. You're able to add 1 card with Liberator in trait amongst them to your hand, and then return the rest to the bottom of your deck. And then one of your Digimon may Digivolve into a Digimon card in the hand with the Digivolution cost reduced by 4. And this is what I was saying about obviously the Rumo play, is that this just comes massively clutch if you have that in hand. Obviously you can't pick it out from the reel of this because it does not have Liberator in trait, but it really comes in clutch. Then its security effect, there's just no freaking losing to this card, is that you're able to play one card with Liberator trait and a play cost of 4 or less from hand or trash without paying the cost. Then add this card to hand. So you have full reign of whatever you want to play from your trash or hand. And you do trash a lot of cards, just because a lot of cards do get deleted when you are using Overclock. But once again, this comes freaking clutch in terms of application. The fact you get this to your hand is then just extending your plays even further. Like I say, I am thinking boosting this up to 2 because I do run just the Digimon Liberator promo at 1. And I feel like just knocking out to 2 would just be massively helpful. But this does freaking slap when it goes off, because what this card does, similar effect, is that if you have a Tamer, Digimon or Tamer with Liberating the trait, you can ignore its color requirements. Thank God for that, because it's white. And then you're able to reveal top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 card with Liberated trait from amongst them to your hand, return the rest to the bottom of the deck. Then you may play 1 card with Liberator trait and a play cost of 3 or less from your hand without paying the cost. So let me talk to you about a pretty nifty combo that I do like to use. Is that obviously you throw this down, you reveal 3. In your hand, you do already have a promo Orisa, and you already have one of your shoes, your Air Force Ones ready to throw down on the opponent. From there, you're able to play down the Orisa. Boom, for free. You've managed to pick probably a core piece that you needed to pop up with later on, and then from there you play down your promo Orisa. Your promo Orisa then is going to play down your shoe, and then whatever shoemon that you're going to throw down, let's just say you throw down the starter deck shoe, then you're going to reveal another 3 and then pick 2 cards. So it does open up a lot of freaking cool plays, I'm not gonna lie. But sometimes it can be a little bit just clunky in hand in that sense. But when you do use it, it is fun, and you can get a lot of tempo and a lot of cards from just playing this down for free. So that concludes there for the options. Really cool stuff out of 7. So let's go over to the Tamers. Tamers right here. Another 7. 7s all day, every day. So going on with the memory setter, we do rock in with a 2 of the Orisa. This Orisa's freaking strong, like absolutely strong. And the reason why I do like this deck is I just feel like all the Tames are freaking useful. Like there's not just like printed chaff. Like, let's just print this for the sake of printing. No, they've actually like locked it in. Bandai has locked the frick in and actually giving this deck some like a good starting point. Say it's just had a starter deck and just a EX set. So here, cost of 4, which you can play this out pretty freaking easy in this deck. It is a memory setter, and then when an effect plays any token or puppet trait Digimon, by suspending this Tamer, one of those Digimon gains Rush for the turn. This is massively helpful right there, and obviously you can just really go fast with this deck, you would not believe. Then we do run the 2 of the EX7 Orisa. This is once again a really strong freaking card. So a starter main for the cost of 3. If your opponent has a Digimon, gain 1 memory, banging. All turns, I love all turns. When any of your tokens or puppet trait Digimon are deleted by suspending this Tamer, you may play 1 level 3 Digimon with puppet in its traits from the hand without paying its costs. So this is what I mean by having a really like a higher ratio on your rookie lineup versus like your champions and your and your ultimates and so forth, because you are going to be just playing those down. You're going to be going through them quite a lot. So you want to make sure that you at least have one shoe in your freaking hand in order to maximize on this, because it does help out. These two in tandem go hard. Then we do lastly run the Orisa promo at 3. This right here, because we are fully invested on the shoe, this goes hard. I think if you're not going to run the promo shoe, I probably wouldn't even run this. I'd probably lean more into this, because you do, in order for it's like on play, you have to play out a Shoemon. It's not Shoemon in name, it is a Shoemon being the thing. The amount of times I've literally had other cards than Shoemon in hand, I've just not got the maximum worth off this. So that's probably my advice there. If you don't have the promos or don't want to get them, don't worry about it. Just literally lean into these two and you'll be absolutely fine. But this does facilitate the deck and makes your deck a lot more memory efficient, because your turn, once per turn, when one of your Digimon would Digivolve into a Digimon with Puppet trait, by suspending this Digimon, gain 1 memory. This right here helps a lot in terms of us just being memory efficient and evoing up quite comfortably. When you're building out wide and just basically building multiple stacks and you have these out, sheesh, it goes hard. And also for us, it enables us to build out wide whilst kind of building out our board from all angles. So obviously we're getting out Digimon, we're building out Tamers, at the same time without not really slowing us down. It's just, if anything, speeding us up to do more plays more efficiently. So this just goes really hard, like absolutely fantastic. I am tempted to kind of go lean more into this, have this at 3 and that at 2, but like this has just helped out massively in terms of just plays, even just passing turn, throwing this out, putting out a freaking shoe, getting a search on. It's just absolute value right there. No, there's no L's happening. But I understand that with this, the cost is pretty high at the moment, which is very, very annoying. But for good reason, it is a really good card. But guys, that concludes for the deck profile right there. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys enjoy playing this deck. I honestly, it's right up there. It's actually replaced my other favorite yellow deck, which was Angels, until that got absolutely nerfed to hell after TK got pretty much restricted. I needed another yellow deck, and I really do enjoy this yellow deck. It is so fun. It's kind of like it reminds me of like Jesmon with the tokens, but this is all in archetype and there's no consistency issues. I just feel like you've got cards that you can play to boost consistency. There's the Tamers work freaking well. Your boss monsters, your boss Digimon are just really helpful. They're not just like shit. like Bandai locked in. I think as soon as we get an ace version of these cards, it's gonna be crazy. I just feel like, unfortunately, the promos do kind of lock this out a fair bit for people to fully play, but I don't think you necessarily need the promos to make the deck work efficiently, but it does make a difference in terms of what you can be doing with them and the control aspect of it, because it is nice just obviously shrinking the opponent's security by a lot for you to just kind of get those free swings, but you want to be trying to clear out Digimon as well. And I feel like, because overclock, you have to tack into security. You can't do overclock swing into someone suspended. So you want to make sure that you can swing minus DP, any threats or anything that could potentially ace you when you're overclocking, because that's you don't want to lose your stack right there. Before actually it ends, I actually do want to talk about the tokens and just some kind of like key things we want to kind of highlight out here, because obviously this deck is a go wide deck and most likely susceptible to Crimson Blaze. Boy, that's gonna go hard. But the defects being quite a thing. But the thing about defects is defects can't actually delete this. It doesn't have a play cost. It doesn't have a level. So when it says delete lowest play cost or delete lowest level, don't matter. These ain't going nowhere. These are not going nowhere. So that's one thing to just kind of remember. If someone goes like, yeah, throw down the DefX, yeah, just remove your board. Like, nope, these will stay. These will stay. They will reduce the cost of DefX because they are classed as a Digimon, but DefX cannot delete it because it doesn't delete by DP. It only deletes by level. By level, and then by play cost from there. So something just to note out whilst we're there. But overall, do enjoy the deck. Think it's very high ceiling. It's definitely not just like, oh yeah, just build deck and go fucking bang 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 bang. I think you do have to obviously play pretty smartly. So sometimes don't even be scared just to kind of basically raise a stack in the back. Because obviously with this, it is start of main, get a token. Right there, obviously it is nice, obviously going up your line outside on the battlefield. So obviously then you're getting your Cendrillmon, you're getting all the, play Digimon by effects, and then, depending on what Shumon you get out, you get all the draw and so forth. But sometimes you are just going to have to just be chilling out in the back, see what the opponent's doing, and then respond to that, minus the DP just to kind of get rid of the threat and so forth. So that's all your tips right there. But if you enjoyed the video, smash it with a like a standard. Stay safe, stay fly, and I'll catch you next one. Dread off the mic.